Welcome to Dualshock'd, the Brotherhood of Geeks PlayStation podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brett J. Rasmussen, and over here, I got my other co-host,
Spectre.
Yeah, what is up, my man? What
is
up,
up?
dude?
Yeah, I'm kind of. It's scary. I'm kind of getting used to this now.
I know,
You know,
right? I
it's
know, dude.
this is becoming the new normal.
I know, it's, I will say I am not a fan of this, but, it is what it is. But I have now I'm now kind of getting used to it. It is like I'm not like as like like I'm still getting stir crazy, but like I'm now like okay, well, it is what it is. But yeah, which happy Star Wars Day when we're recording this, of course. But like yeah, Star Wars Day, yeah.
Oh yeah, the May the 4th thing. Yeah, it's yeah, great. Yeah.
Coming from the Star Wars fan, you're like
The classic Star Wars fan. I Star Wars fan with an asterisk. You know,
I am a purist.
Original trilogy all the way. I have something of a soft spot for the prequels, probably because I grew up with them. But yeah, that sequel stuff, no thanks. Not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Not for anyone apparently, because nobody seems to like it. So nobody's buying the toys. Nobody's begging for its return. So
yeah. Well, yeah. Which, by the way, do you watch the Clone Wars, the TV show, the Clone Wars, or no?
No, I mean I hear good things. But
dude,
I have not. I've not really actively watched it. No. I'm trying to watch that the Mandalorian show. I got like 2 or 3 episodes in and just kind of took a break from it. But I will finish that up eventually. That's more reasonable to do. I know there's like 100+ Clone Wars episodes, so it's easier to finish Mandalorian than it is to get into that.
I mean, like I love the Clone Wars. I've like, mind you, it's been around since probably like it's been around for a very long time. Because it had 5 seasons, and then it went on hiatus, and then Netflix picked it up, did a season, and then it never got a season until then. And then because when Disney and Star Wars had the merger, Disney Plus happened, and then they were like, "Hey, one more season, one more final season," and oh, dude, like I love season 7, the final the last arc, the final 4 episodes of season 7, which is the Siege of Mandalore. Along like this, it's the Siege of Mandalore arc, but it also happens. It coincides with episode 3, with the Revenge of the Sith. So like you're seeing what you get to see what happens to Ahsoka while Revenge of the Sith. Oh, it's so good. It's so good, and it leads into Rebels very well. Oh, and it ties up like almost every loose end. I think it ties up every loose end of Clone Wars. And it even references Tarkovsky. I think I said that wrong, but the 2003 Tarkovsky cartoon, the 2D animation Star Wars, The Clone Wars. That it was like the little mini series that like it leads literally right into episode 3. Do you remember that one? Do you remember that?
No, but let's we're not a Clone Wars Star Wars show.
Well, I know.
I think we should probably get back on topic. But anyways, video games. How about that?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about them video games. So go ahead, talk to me.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been playing. Sinking a lot of my time into the Fallout 76 Wastelanders update, and
very nice.
I mean, to very briefly summarize, pretty good. I mean, especially for a free update. I mean, it's about the size of what Bethesda would typically charge for a full-on expansion. But it does add quite a bit in terms of content. It adds a kind of almost a replacement main quest line. Obviously, the big thing about this is it adds NPC characters and stories. And I mean, overall, pretty good. I mean, for a free update, not too bad. I know there's people that will hate the game and will always hate the game. I'm one of the few that defended it from the beginning. But yeah, I mean, pretty well done, and they do have a plan for the future as well too. There's a roadmap for the future in terms of additional content coming out. So yeah, I mean, so far so good. I've sunk a lot of hours into it. I'm kind of doing a second run through it right now.
Very nice.
it adds on quite a bit of content. So yeah, bravo for them. And then aside from that, I mean, that's really the main thing I'm playing. I haven't really even started Final Fantasy yet. I'm not like I said before, I'm not really a diehard Final Fantasy fan, so I don't feel like this great sense of urgency to run over and play it. But it's I will get to that
Fallout
eventually.
76, the bad game, that you're like, ha ha, to me.
I mean, for me, I enjoy. It likes to even though there's basically the story is non-existent in this game. I mean, there's some kernels of fun stuff, but Fallout 76 at the very least does have a fun gameplay loop to it. Kind of the classic Fallout gameplay loop of
Mhm.
exploring and emergent story and crafting and things like that. So that is fun, and that's more appealing to me than Final Fantasy. But like I said, I'm not a Final Fantasy fan. I'm someone that enjoys Fallout. I'd rather take and I think everyone's kind of like this. I think you're probably like this too. I'd imagine you'd probably rather play a mediocre to bad Assassin's Creed game than a outstanding Call of Duty game or something like that.
I mean, probably.
Or another series, or how about kind of a hint of things to come? How about like a fantastic farming simulator game?
Oh boy.
Would you rather play a mediocre Assassin's Creed or the best definitive farming simulator?
I'd probably play the Assassin's Creed, but
There
that's
you go.
just me.
There you go.
No,
Exactly. Tastes are relative, So
no, I get you. And look, like I like you like what you like. We all have our things that like I love Order 1886, but I'm very, very, very much in a small boat when it comes to that game. A lot of people do not like it because it's just a glorified tech demo, which it is. I'm not going to go ahead and say that it's not, but I do enjoy for the story that it was told and the gameplay that it did was fun. But anyway, just like all of us have our own kind of things that a lot of people don't like, or like the common consensus that they don't like. But I like it personally, like Fallout 76, and I have heard that with the Wastelanders update, some people have come back and it's a bit better than what it used to be. So there's that.
yeah, and it's
Um,
and now I am playing it on because it with Wastelanders it did come to Steam as well too. So I'm
mhm,
playing the PC version, which
of course.
does it does hold up a little bit better than the console version. It's a smoother experience.
Yeah. But yeah, so for me, um, I have been. Let me see what I've been playing like a lot of stuff. I've been playing Predator. I've been playing Predator Hunting Grounds, which
How did
is
that turn out?
it's really fun. It's better Evolve. It's very much better Evolve. Or it's different Friday the 13th because Predator is actually developed by the same guys who have done Friday the 13th.
Oh, okay. I enjoyed Friday the 13th. I mean, I wasn't
Yeah,
like an ultra fan of it or anything, but I enjoyed it.
yeah, it's Elphonic. Elphonic is the developers behind it. It's just like if you play as the Predator, you like it's all about being stealthy. It's like 1 versus 3 or 4. It's the Predator versus a team of army guys. Um, so it's just like it's very different. But it's enjoyable. It's definitely. I don't know if it's my cup of tea because it's very much you just do matches and you play online. You're going against people, which is fine. Might not be my cup of tea, but I gotta play it more. What else have I been doing? Oh, I started up Persona 5 Royal. I started playing that. Um,
Okay.
what like it's such a different game, but man, it's good, and I love that soundtrack. Oh, the soundtrack is so good. Um, Playing more Final Fantasy. Been playing like I've kind of just been kind of jumping around a bunch of different games right now. And now because of Star Wars Day, they EA has put in the guys at Respawn technically put in a new update where there's like challenges that you can do and you can set up your own challenge arena. So like I want to fight these enemies in these waves, a bunch of cosmetic awards, a bunch of stuff, which is really cool. So I actually might jump back into Jedi Fallen Order because of that, which looks pretty cool. So I've been jumping around and playing a bunch of stuff because really the month of May is very barren, which that's a good thing. I'm honestly fine with that. So, but yeah, that's
Yeah, it's we're kind of in that summer lull here where there's not really going to be a whole lot coming out. I mean, obviously, I'm looking forward. I know you're looking forward to. We're talking about this today, of course. Last of Us Part Two,
yes, we'll be yep.
And I'm looking forward to Ghost of Tsushima. So it's I mean there are some things to that will be coming up here right around the
Well,
corner.
we've been talking about a lot of things, so let's go ahead and begin with what we always begin with. You ready to begin?
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and begin with what we always begin with. News of the nation. Last time I did that with Guru Blaze, he actually had a piano and did my noises for me. So that was
Oh, really?
yeah. Yeah, I was like, "Oh, I didn't know." Anyway. All right, so first topic, let's begin. So for the month of May, PlayStation has announced the free games we're going to be getting for the month of May from PlayStation Plus. And on the PlayStation blog, they put out the article, and the 2 free games that you're going to be getting for PlayStation Plus for the month of May is Cities Skyline and Farming Simulator 19. Those are the 2 free games that you're going to be getting for the month of May.
I know collectively, everyone is probably like, "What? Really?"
I actually saw someone like there's a petition that has gone up to petition to PlayStation to change these 2 games to something else entirely.
I get all that. For me, I mean, and I'm not someone that normally, applauds PlayStation Plus. I'm someone that's kind of inherently
Oh,
against
I
it.
know you don't like it. I know you don't.
Yeah. But I will say to their credit, just like last month, I gave them some credit, for the Play at Home initiative. So to their credit, I give them. I think it is kind of good that they're maybe kind of broadening some people's horizons with this. They are 2, City Skyline and Farming Simulator, simulation games. That's a genre really that has been more. It's kind of like real time strategy, where it's been more of a traditionally PC type of thing. It hasn't really always translated well to consoles because, they're games that really require the accuracy and fidelity of a keyboard and mouse. But it's things are a little bit different nowadays. I know, like, Xbox, at least for example, supports the keyboard and mouse for some games. But I think it is a good thing that they are, maybe some people will try these games and realize, I never would have bought one of these games, just naturally, organically.
Yeah.
But like, hey, I really enjoy this. This is actually a lot more. I never thought I'd enjoy something called Farming Simulator, but this is actually kind of fun. And those simulation games are surprisingly, at one point I was kind of like that too. I was like, oh well, who could enjoy this? But they can be really fun and engaging. So and they're kind of from a value standpoint, they are a big time sink. You could spend countless hours in those games. So yeah, I give them some credit. I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, why didn't you just give us God of War or something? But yeah, just I guess I encourage people, just get outside your comfort zone a little bit. Or maybe you'll hate them, but you know what? I mean, very small price to pay here.
Yeah, no, like I will say, well, like when I first saw this, I was like, "Oh, really? These 2? You couldn't have been something better?" And that was like my raw reaction right there. And then I had to kind of think about it for a little bit. And I was like, "Oh, wait a minute. These are 2 very kind of out of the norm games." And like sometimes if you play, like, you don't know if you would like a game unless you try it out. I remember, like, again, I brought up Kingdoms of Amalur years ago. I've never been into RPGs, but I pre-ordered Kingdoms of Amalur, picked it up, played it, fell in love with that game, and I never knew that I would like RPGs in that way when I played it, and then I was like, oh my god, this is my jam. So like,
And think about that with like every game, like all your favorite games. There was
yeah,
at one point, you know, you had to get out of your comfort zone, and you know, like my favorite game of all time was like an example of that. It was a game that I found on a shelf in Blockbuster back when we had Blockbuster, and it was something it was a genre I traditionally did not play, you know, survival horror, and I saw a copy of Silent Hill 2, and I was like, huh, should I give this a try? And you know, if it wasn't a case where I could have gotten it, you know, very cheaply, maybe I never would have tried it.
yeah,
You know, which is, you know, basically what PS Plus is. You're getting all these games for, you know, a very low price. So I mean, sometimes you just have to take a chance, and you never know. It might be something that you really, really enjoy.
yeah. And as we always say, it's free for the month, so you can just add it to your library, and you have it forever. Like as long as you have Plus active, you have it. So just add it to your library, and if you want to try it out, download it. Go ahead, give it a shot. But as like, and you can try it out, you know, next year or you know next month or whatever. That's why we always recommend just to add it to your library. Add the games that you get that are free on Plus. Just add them to your library, so that way, if you want to test them out or whatever, you can, right?
Yeah, you got nothing to lose.
Mm-hmm.
You may as well add them. I add games every month, and games I probably never intend to play, but it's like, hey, why not?
Exactly. But let's move on. The next topic. Now, this is a PlayStation podcast, but I wanted to bring this up because I can see how this relates to PlayStation. This is about Xbox. This is about Xbox, but Xbox has put up a tweet saying that. I will pull up the tweet right here. On the Xbox's official Twitter account, they have stated, it says, you want to see games for this Xbox Series X? We want to show you games for the Xbox Series X. Check out First Look Next Gen gameplay from our global developer partners within #Inside Xbox on Thursday, May 7th at 8 a.m. Pacific or 11 a.m. Eastern. For us, it would be at 10 because we live in Central Time. So the reason why I bring this up on a PlayStation podcast is that this is pretty much they're going to be showing off the games. Xbox is going to be showing off games, a lot of third-party games that will be coming to PlayStation also. And I'm excited to see this because I want to see what games there are, but also I'm also a bit worried because Xbox is coming out with guns a-blazing. When is PlayStation's event? When is PlayStation going to come out and go, here's our games, here's our stuff? You know, just because it looks
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. I mean, it's. I mean, this event will be very interesting to watch. You know, it'll be interesting to see all the new games and stuff like that. But I think I think we're in a post console war era. I don't think I just don't think we live in a time anymore where there's this real concern about, you know, like, oh, you know, this system is sold X number of systems compared to that. I mean, maybe on internet forums and stuff like that, but I don't think like, you know, PlayStation or, you know, anyone at Sony is really sweating this too much.
No, and I agree. The whole console war concept is very much like it's people like us who go, oh, this or this, and like, you know, this sold this number, this sold this is, and we talk about it and discuss it, and what is the better system, and blah 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 blah. It always comes down to what are the best games, what do you like to play on, who cares, play the games you like, so on and so forth. Like, I find this curious because PlayStation they're not on the attack. I've said this multiple times. They're playing on the defense, and we haven't gotten, like, we need a state of play very very soon. And maybe it's because they're focusing on their launch of Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima, and with everything that's happening for that, we will get to that. But like, maybe that's why. I don't know, but PlayStation needs to come out and start going, here are our games. Here's more from this third party studio. even though you have seen it, here's more. You get these exclusive, this DLC or this thing on our platform first. Or here's the first party exclusives. Here is the games that are being made by our worldwide studios, so on and so forth. Like PlayStation hasn't come out to say anything, and I really do hope that we're going to be hearing from them very, very soon. That's why I wanted to bring it. That's why I wanted to bring up this, because it's about Xbox, but I wanted to bring it back to how it relates to PlayStation, where PlayStation's been playing on the defense about all this.
Yeah, and maybe like I said, I mean, they're in a position where they don't really need to necessarily come out. I mean, they have a commanding lead in the market now. I think that momentum will propel them into the next generation here, despite all the bad PR, I guess you could say, around the PlayStation 5. I think the momentum of this generation will push them to success in the next generation,
Yeah.
especially if the way kind of the ecosystem of consoles works now. I mean, you have things like your Plus subscription and your library of games and your friends and trophies and all that stuff on one system. So it makes the cost of switching to a different platform a lot more significant than it was in the past.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. I think to their credit, they do have two big exclusives coming out within the next couple of months here. So they are still charging forward on the software front. They haven't abandoned the idea that that they have this powerful exclusive software that people really want. So I think once you take that into account, I mean, they're in a despite the the ho hum bad reception of the event that they had, I think they're not really in a position where I think they're scared.
No, and honestly, like they had that like whatever GDC conference, the road to PS5, but then they had the article about the DualSense, and that was like everywhere. That was the number one trending article like for a while. So there's that.
And honestly, I think like I said before, I think the DualSense is good news. It's positive.
Yes.
It does look good. It does look like they've made some meaningful changes to the controller for the better. So.
Yes. So yeah, let's move on.
Yep.
Next topic is that the GDC summer event is going completely digital. In an update from GDC themselves, it said they put up a post. And it says, quote, "We have been continuously reviewing the best ways to serve the game development community over the past few months as the world has continued to adapt to developments. While we very much look forward to meeting again in person as soon as possible, we are moving forward with the plan to transform GDC Summer into an all-digital event in order to best serve our community. As so many game developers embrace remote working arrangements and online collaboration, we're inspired to adapt and deliver GDC in a digital format that will be available to everyone with an internet connection, and will work hard to deliver the high quality content and networking opportunities GDC attendees have come to expect. We believe in the power of gathering our community and to share, inspire, and strengthen our industry, and committed to proving that opportunity in August. We look forward to sharing more information about GDC Summer soon." So pretty much what it is that they are going to be doing an event in August 4th to the 6th. In GDC, if you do not know, is the big it's gaming developers conference, and it's the big conference where the developers, like the people who work on the games, all come together and they get seminars about how different games are made and so on and so forth. It looks like the one that they're doing in the summer, which that they have, is going to be going completely digital. Organizer later announced. Yeah, so what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's part of the trend. I mean, it's more and more events are being moved to digital. I think really even before this whole situation happened, I think that was kind of the trend anyways. Was towards more of these digital events, and it makes sense. I mean, in a lot of ways, they're better from a business standpoint. They're more cost effective. They can control the narrative for these events to a larger degree. It's just there's a lot of pros to it, and there's not really a lot of cons anymore. It's just kind of how the industry has evolved.
Well,
So
I think it's still valuable. It's still valuable to have people go to a conference to be physically there.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like I said, especially as I was, like I said, I was at E3 2011. I mean, as an example of an event that I've been to, like a big event that I've been to, and there is kind of a magic in the air. There is a there is a sense of like, wow, this is a real, this is something that can't be replicated in just a scripted digital event.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I totally get that. But at the same time, I think if I was at one of these companies, I think same thing, just saying like, yeah, we really need to do these digital events. It's better on the bottom line. It's better from a narrative standpoint, and it avoids because I mean there is a very real cost to kind of fumbling the message. I mean, look at last generation. Look what happened with that. That you could make a strong argument that Microsoft's E3 in that year of 2013
Oh God.
killed
Oh.
the system.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean that was there was a very real cost to how negatively that was all received, and that's just one example. I mean, there's been plenty of other infamous E3 moments or conference moments where things have really had a lot of blowback. So I think it makes sense to push these things digital, and now they have the perfect excuse to do it with all that's with everything that's going on right now.
Yeah, and I mean, using the Xbox's E3 2013, that was damage control. That wasn't even them going, "Oh, here you go." That was damage control from the reveal event they did in May of that year. So, and I mean, and again, E3 2018 for PlayStation was lackluster at best. I mean, we got demos of the three biggest games of that were coming out at that time, but like that was it. There was nothing else. While Xbox that year kicked it out of the park. So I mean, yeah, with it going digitally, you can kind of control the message better. Kind of continuing with that. Next topic. Evo 2020 has been canceled due to the virus due to the pandemic. In a Twitter post from Evo's official Twitter, and Evo is the biggest fighting game tournament that happens every year, every few months, but it's the biggest tournament in fighting games. And it says, due to the pandemic, we are sadly canceling Evo 2020 at Mandalay Bay and refunding all purchased tickets. But to keep the Evo spirit alive, we're bringing the event online this summer. More information coming soon. The health and well-being of our community is our highest priority. We hope everyone stays safe during this time. The games that were going to be on the main stage of the main floor was going to be, and I think we brought this up before. It was going to be Street Fighter V, Tekken 7. Marvel versus I think it was Marvel versus Capcom 3. Let's see. There was a bunch of them. But again, it's pretty much a lot of the fighting games that were going to be there are actually not that really well on online base. So I wanted to bring that up because they said that we're going to be doing it online. Okay. A lot of these games are not built for the online netcode. So, what do you think? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's the fighting game scene is not really a scene that I follow personally, but I mean, I occasionally enjoy watching like a Smash Brothers tournament or something like that. I mean, that's kind of fun. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think tournaments are one of those things where you really need to have people together there in person. It's there's like it's like a sports event. Like imagine like it just doesn't really work.
Yeah, I mean,
without actually having like an audience there.
Yeah. So first, I got the full list. The full list for Evo 2020. Currently, again, they haven't stated if they're going to change the games, but it's Dragon Ball Fighters, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Samurai Showdown, Soul Calibur 6, Street Fighter V Champion Edition, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Tekken 7, Under the Night in Birth EXE, along with, as I said, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I believe. Or 2. I'm sorry, because 3 is the PS3 one. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And they were going to bring that back because Marvel vs. Capcom has not been in EVO for a very long time. I would highly recommend everyone who, if you haven't heard of him, his name is Maximilian Dude. He is a YouTube channel. Go subscribe to him. and he actually put up a video talking about this cancellation. Is far more knowledgeable about this than I am. So anyone who is even very interested in this, go subscribe to Maximilian Dude. He's awesome. I'll put a link down in the description for him. He's very popular. I'm pretty sure all of you heard of him. If not, check him out. He's awesome. He talks about fighting games, and I'm definitely a fan of his. He's awesome. But yeah, anything else, Spectre? I think you said
no, that's it. Like I said, I don't have a ton to say about fighting games in general. It's not really my genre outside of Tekken. But yeah, no, like I said, obviously this is just yet another piece of disappointing news.
Yeah. So and as I said, a lot of those games are going to be hard for doing online netcode. But again, go check out Maximilian Dude. Next topic. Activision Blizzard donates $2 million to help veterans' employment impacted by the pandemic, where we are now. This is an article from.
You almost tripped there.
I know you did. I'm glad that you saw that. Yes, I did. I almost did. I caught myself. Woo! So anyway, Activision Blizzard has announced that it's donating $2 million to help veterans find high-quality jobs through the Call of Duty Endowment Program. Activision also released a new Fearless in-game content pack for Modern Warfare 2019, the newest one, with 100% of its proceeds going towards the endowment program. Which the Call of Duty Endowment Program is something that I'm actually a fan of. I don't play Call of Duty like that, but I've always donated money to the endowment program because they would have little dog tags or keychains or something, and all those proceeds would go to there. But the endowment program is a long-running program that helps raise funds to veterans in need. The timing of this month's donation is also part of National Military Appreciation Month, and their social media campaign asking for followers to post photos or names of veterans with the hashtag code Fearless Challenge. CODE Fearless Challenge. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, credit where credit's due. I mean, I know especially me, I tend to sometimes focus on the negative to some degree, and it's easy to kind of bash some of these companies from time to time. But I always say, companies, corporations, they're kind of like people. They're everyone's kind of a mix of good and bad. There's plenty of things that they do that we absolutely hate, and we sometimes think are wrong even. But at the same time, they do things like this that are a net benefit. So it's good on them. Very good.
Yeah. Just a quote from CEO Bobby Kotick. Military veterans need our support more than ever. With unemployment rates at all-time highs, we know from past experiences that veterans will be far more affected than ordinary citizens. With this donation to the Call of Duty Endowment, we hope to find jobs for at least 4,000 veterans. Another quote from the executive director of the endowment program, Dan Goldenberg. We've seen a huge increase in veterans asking our partners for assistance since the start of the pandemic. We've been committed to helping veterans find meaningful employment for 10 years, but we've never seen anything like this. So again, this is I have my own beef with Bobby Kotick because he's CEO and Activision Blizzard, but as you have said so before, as you just said, Spectre, they're still people too, and seeing this is awesome. So credit where credit's due, I guess.
Exactly.
Next topic. We have now Ubisoft has announced its new game, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, with an extended trailer. It's about 4 minutes, and it pretty much shows off gameplay, stories, and everything. I've done my reactions for it myself, which, yeah, I'm excited. Which you can go ahead and check that video out. It'll be here somewhere. It'll be in the description or the eye above our head. But pretty much the day before the announcement, which was this past Thursday, from time of recording, the day before it, there was actually a stream, an 8-hour-long stream of one of the most popular painters, who he pretty much paints stuff on YouTube. I think it was, I can't remember his name, but there's a super cut of it in like 3 minutes. But he painted um the cover for Valhalla. And then it got announced, and then we got the trailer the next day. And this is going to be one of the games that's going to be coming to this PS5 and the Series X. At the end of the trailer, it shows PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Which on PC, it'll be exclusively on the Epic Game Store and Ubisoft Store, Google Stadia, and Uplay Plus. So it will not be on Steam. Hey!
There's always an asterisk on that. It's always a timed exclusivity,
Mm-hmm.
typically for all these things. There's games. There's plenty of games that come out. Metro, for example, Borderlands 3. Numerous examples. Control, that started off as exclusive on the Epic Store, but now they're really, like Borderlands, for example, is already on Steam. Everything kind of comes to Steam eventually. It's just that nowadays you're starting to see more. Obviously I'm a fan of Steam and Valve.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's important to say that these are timed exclusives. Eventually they do find their way to Steam.
Yeah. So this is again another game that's going to be coming to the next gen consoles. It's during the Age of the Vikings. You get to play as a man or woman Viking, which is their name is Ivor. It's not two different names. It's Ivor the man or Ivor the female. And from what I saw in the trailer, it looks good, and I'm excited. And I love Vikings. Ooh yeah, like I'm excited for that time period. Like, oh Vikings, oh yeah, that's my jam. I like it. So I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. Mind you,
I know. Yeah, you're
like,
the
it's an Assassin's
Creed
Creed. I'm an Assassin's Creed fan, so of course I'm going to be excited. But I have been let down by Odyssey. So for me, I will say I'm definitely more excited because of the time period it's in. For what it will actually be, I'm a little bit more cautious than I used to be. But I'm still looking forward to it. So yeah. Next topic. EA announces digital-only EA Play broadcast coming in June. This will also be part of IGN's own Summer of Gaming. So IGN is going to be doing this kind of like in June, this like very much like event, their own kind of E3 because E3 has been canceled. They're kind of doing it their own version of it. And so EA has just announced that they're going to be doing their own EA Play just like they did last year. But EA Play Live, and it's going to be all digital, and it's going to be showcased on June 11th, starting at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, which for in the UK that'll be like midnight or 9 a.m. in the UK and AEST respectively. EA is going to be will show a showcase of quote games through a live broadcast, community content, and more. So again, it's their version of what they were going to do at E3, but now they're doing it here. That's pretty much it. Probably going to get trailers for the new sports games. We may get a new Battlefield, but there is that Project Maverick that has still been in the works that may have been leaked back in March that we may hear about here. So yeah, what do you think about this? Because I know your opinions on EA.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, EA. I mean, they are, to their credit, I mean, they are starting to make, some of the right moves. I mean, like, I wasn't the biggest fan of Fallen Order, but I did think it was an enjoyable game. It was a step in the right direction. I don't think it was a bad game. They are, in about a month or so, not even here, releasing Command & Conquer Remastered. That is it's shaping up to be really, really good. Kind of a revival of these just classic games after which is I guess kind of fitting because EA was kind of responsible for the downfall of Command & Conquer as a a franchise.
The mobile game, yay!
Yeah, mobile game, and even before that, the infamous Command & Conquer 4, which was basically the tombstone of the series. It's what destroyed Command & Conquer as we know it as a franchise. But yeah, no, I mean, so my point is EA is making some of the right moves here. I don't want to hate these. I don't want to hate these companies. I really don't. It's just I don't know. I mean, it's just they burn you so many times.
No,
It's like
I get you. And look, like I was happily surprised at how good Jedi Fallen Order was. Like I definitely the gameplay of it is amazing. That's probably the best part about Jedi Fallen Order. The story is good. I very much enjoyed the story. I know for you, you're like, but like,
I thought the story was a weak point in that game, but yeah, no, I mean, at this point, what I'd like to see from EA is, in the future here is, if they can fix Battlefield and Battlefront, then I mean, I think they have something going for them then. But
yeah.
uh,
Um, just to kind of as a jumping off point from that, not only is IGN doing their own kind of summer of gaming, Jeff Keighley, who runs the Game Awards, who also before the pandemic he actually pulled out of E3, and he's been part of E3 for the past 25 years. I guess this is what he planned on doing. Maybe not in this way, but I think this was his plan why he left E3 2020 before, the pandemic. But he has announced that he's doing this thing called Summer Game Fest, which is a 4-month-long industry-wide celebration of gaming. This is from his tweet from the official Summer Games Fest, which he has created and made himself. All the news you've been waiting for, playable content, in-game events, and more from the video game industry. Get ready for summergameevent.com, and there's a website you can go to it. And pretty much it's going to be going from May until August. Pretty much an announcement of new games. Pretty much like he's doing this whole summer of video game stuff. It's all on the site. So there's that. So I guess that we're going to be seeing kind of how this summer, how announcements are going to be happening. It's going to be very different than what we're used to.
yeah, I mean, this is kind of uncharted territory. I mean, having all these digital events. I mean, maybe this is the shape of things to come. Maybe this is the future.
Yeah.
Um,
And like,
it's like I said, we've said before. It's sad because we like the energy of there's something indescribable about an actual real event, and I think those they'll always exist in some form. As their influence wanes, it's kind of sad. It feels like the end of an era.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't think E3 is going to die. I think E3 is just going to change into something else. But I think this is going to be for the better because E3 has very much been more for the press. If you're not part of the press, you kind of don't get access to really anything, or barely anything.
Well, it depends.
So
It's more complicated than that because I mean, it sometimes I mean, for a long time it was more for the press, and then it kind of
it
became
opened to
more
the
opened up. And
public, yeah.
it's kind of
So
gone back and forth. So
yeah.
it's not fair to say it's always only been just for
No,
the
I
press.
understand, but I would like again, the E3 is a trade show, and it's built to show all like it's yes, it's in the guise of hey, here you go to the consumers, but it's always hey, this is for the shareholders. That's why like at EAs are like almost always the most boring ones because they have to show off the sports games and the games that like really no one cares about because it's for the stockholders. But anyway, I don't want to dive down that hole. We've talked about the ESA and E3 multiple times. But yeah, I'm looking forward to all these kind of things. Let's move on. Next topic is that Sony's VR team is researching a new Valve-style index controller. There is a patent that Sony has put up, and it's pretty much what it is. That the patent is this almost like this joystick. It's a joystick, but what it does is that it senses all of your fingers on the joystick. So like you can go ahead and grab. So like here's my phone. I'll use this as an example. So you can see it. So pretty much, it's able to sense where your fingers are. So if I lift my index or my middle, or like I put up a 2 like this, it senses that and it shows it on screen. And there have been kind of tech demos showing that off there. There's a big paper that's been written by Sony Interactive Entertainment's R&D engineers. I'm gonna mess this up, but here we go. Kazuyuki Arimatsu and Hideki Mori. I probably messed those up, but the deals of the
That
evolution of
sounded about right,
all right, yeah. Deals with the evolution of
as far as I know.
of deals with the evolution of machine learning techniques in regards to hand pose and estimation. Essentially, it discusses how machine learning in combination with a proximity center equipped controller can estimate the position of fingers and then replicate that within a virtual environment. And there was a patent published by Sony earlier this year, and this article comes from IGN. And they show there's a video that shows how it works, and I was using it's what they do in the video is kind of the example that I was doing here. This article does not specifically mention the PS5 or PSVR 2 or whatever name that would be. And Sony has made no suggestion that the PS5 will launch with a new VR headset, which is good. Honestly, I think that's a good thing. I don't see the VR2, whatever it would be, coming out the same year. I think that's going to be like a year, like within, like after 2 to 3, maybe even 4 years after the system has already come out. But they are very much doubling down on VR technology. So what do you think,
Yeah.
Spectre?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not someone that necessarily praises the PlayStation VR. I think it's a good, budget option for VR. The problem with VR, and it's something that your mileage will vary with it to some degree. The problem with VR is it really does need, it's an area where graphics really do matter because, the better the frame rate, the better the resolution, and the power of the headset, the better you're able to mitigate the effects of motion sickness, and the more you're able to kind of trick your brain into thinking like, okay, I'm really moving even though I'm not. I think it's actually an area where graphics and power really are important, and obviously, I mean, the Valve Index is fantastic. I mean, there's a lot of really good VR options on PC. So I think it's good that I mean that they're continuing to invest in this, because the reason why I think VR is really more of a PC thing in general is because of that graphical power. I mean, because I'm someone that owns a PSVR. I don't have a Valve Index yet. I plan to get one eventually here. It's quite a bit more expensive than a PSVR, deservedly so. But yeah, I think as someone that owns and plays with PSVR, it's really hard for me to get into it just from a motion sickness standpoint. I'm someone that's affected by it. Some people claim that there is a degree of practice with it. The more you use it, apparently, the more
the more you
easier
get
it
used
is
to it.
to
Yeah,
handle.
I very much agree with that.
So yeah, but I guess for me, I'd rather, if I'm going for a VR, I'd rather go all out and play on like on a PC with a really powerful VR headset. But this does sound like a step in the right direction. I'm glad that they are continuing to invest in this, because there is a market for it, I think.
Yeah, I agree. There are so many ways, and there have been very good, like highly acclaimed critically and commercially games from the PSVR. There are some very good ones. I enjoyed Moss. I enjoyed even Batman VR, which even though it was only 4 hours, it was still very enjoyable. Made you feel like you were Batman. Doom VR is very fun. Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim VR is very fun. There's a bunch of other ones that have come out, and honestly, for me, I am looking forward to playing. Or at least testing out Iron Man VR, whenever that would be. That's still been pushed back indefinitely for the launch date. But yeah. So, yeah, and that is all of the news before we get into our PlayStation conversation. Whew. A lot of news. This has been very busy. Very, very busy.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a lot going on right now. I mean,
Yeah,
surprisingly.
well, there's been a lot going on for PlayStation specifically, but I guess we'll get that going. You ready for our PlayStation conversation?
Yes, I am.
Here we go. This is our PlayStation conversation.
PlayStation.
Okay, so there has been within the past, I would say, week, this has been changing almost every day. What has happened, if you haven't seen or heard already, a massive chunk. I would probably I think it's about maybe an hour and a half. I think it's a massive chunk of Last of Us Part Two has been leaked online. I kind of want to go through the timeline, and if there's any point you want to stop me or you want to discuss something, please, whenever you want to, Spectre, go ahead.
Okay.
First, I want to begin with this article. We've talked about this on a past episode of Dualshock'd, but Jason Schreier put up an article back in March, or I'm sorry, January, February, yeah, March. Look at me doing math. In March, he put up an article that states, as Naughty Dog crunches on The Last of Us 2, developers wonder how much longer this approach can last. In the article, just to kind of give you the breakdown, is that in the article it states how Naughty Dog, as a developer, is very much a perfectionist. Pretty much, there's an example where employees at Naughty Dog were working on Last of Us Part 2, but there was a construction team that was working on the floor above them, and a pipe came down or fell off. It didn't hit anyone, no one got hurt, but it came down to the bottom floor, and it may have hurt someone. When that happened, they hired a new construction team, all that kind of stuff, but there were people there, and this happened at it was late, past 9 p.m., so it was past 9, so they were there from 10, 11, pretty much everyone's home, either sleeping or whatever, and here's the members of Naughty Dog working aggressively on Last of Us Part 2. So it talks about crunch culture, and yes, there's crunch in every video game, but when it comes to Naughty Dog, it is the worst for them because they are perfectionists when it comes to their game. So that article came out, and we've kind of talked about we've talked about it, and a lot of people discussed about crunch and how bad just crunch in general is. And I know your opinion on crunch, Spectre, is a little bit different, where you're like crunch is okay, correct? Am I
Yeah, I mean it's a balance though. I mean I think it's part of what people sign up for. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean as appealing as the video game industry is, it's not something I would ever participate as like my full-time job necessarily, like in terms of actual game creation, because it's kind of like a gig culture. It's sort of like being like an actor. Very few people can make like a full-on living with it just exclusively. I mean, and there's certain things you have to kind of put up with in that industry. So I mean, but also that's counterbalanced with it's kind of like a passion thing. I mean, you put up with a lot of negative things, but at the same time, it's like this is something you're passionate about. It's kind of like, I mean, I know you can appreciate kind of the actor part of it too. I mean, I imagine.
Yeah, and I understand. With being in the creative field, the number of hours that you put out for your work sometimes doesn't equate the actual work that in gaming. Like crunch, it's just the way of the culture, and
I guess to another way to sum it all up to is, every single job is a matter of trade-offs. I mean, you could be a petroleum engineer and make a lot of money, but maybe you're just not someone that cares about that at all, and it's not really a passionate thing for you, and it's a paycheck for you. So I mean, that's a trade-off though. I mean, you're getting a secure job and high pay, but you're getting something that you don't really feel like fulfilled from. And then maybe acting or video game development's the exact opposite. You don't really, it's you kind of live, you're a starving artist, you live gig to gig, but at the same time it's like you feel like it's something you're really passionate about.
Yeah, and look, I crunch, the amount of crunch, the what happens at Naughty Dog, I'm not a fan of, but you still have to make meet an end date, and it has to be done. But we've discussed it, so on and so forth. So I don't want to jump down that hole because we probably could. So that article came out and it talked about crunch. So then within the past few days, I believe like pretty much like late April, I believe it was around April 27th, maybe a little bit after that. All of a sudden, as I said before, a massive part of The Last of Us Part 2 got leaked out. It's about it's about an hour or so of cinematics, and it's not only just like, oh, here's a few clips. No, it actually gave away like plot points and twists and spoilers that have happened in the game that were meant like until it comes out. Because Spectre, you have seen them, correct? You have seen these leaks, correct?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, this is pretty dramatic stuff. I mean, I mean, of course, leaks are a part of the industry. I mean, they happen a lot, but I mean, this is pretty.
And
I'm someone that as compared to you, I know that you're intentionally staying away from spoilers, and we're not going to.
Before you continue, I just want to make the point that we are not completely not going to be spoiling any of the leaks. So, Spectre, just because you have seen it, we are not going to be talking about the actual details of the leaks. We're just kind of discussing the leaks as the story, but we're not going to be spoiling any of the twists or turns or anything that happens for you guys also. I don't want to be spoiled also, but we're also doing that for you guys. I just want to put that out there before we continue. So as you were saying, Spectre, I just want to put that out there.
Agreed. But yeah, no, I mean, this is, what I'm saying is leaks are, they happen from time to time, but this was pretty dramatic. We're talking about leaks of, end game cutscenes, like full cutscenes. I've watched, because like I said, I don't care about spoilers necessarily because it's not really a game I really ever intended to play. But I mean, full cutscenes, gameplay and plot details, the twists of the story and everything. Pretty much all the cards are on the table. Like, I mean, we all kind of we kind of know exactly what's going on, and we don't usually see that for a lot of games. I mean, this is kind of weird. It's unprecedented. I guess when I first heard about this story, I tended to believe what the general narrative was, the speculation. This was an insider, maybe a disgruntled employee, which makes sense. It kind of fits with what we were just talking about, the culture there. Like, this was a disgruntled employee, but now they're saying that it's not. It's just, I don't know. There's a lot of things about the development of this game that have been really weird, and it's something's happened at Naughty Dog, I think, over the course of time, that this is just kind of another in the long series of weird things about them and this game.
Yeah. So the where it started from, it was April 27th. It was from an article from GameIndustry.biz. And the article brings up about it's been leaked on. I will not bring up the site if you want to look up. Everything is sourced in the description. But pretty much that it's been completely leaked, as you said, cutscenes, everything. Developer menus are being a part of leak gameplay and cutscenes. At the time, everyone thought that it was a disgruntled employee. There was no proof nor fact to that. It's just everyone thought it was that because of the Crunch article that Jason Schreier did. Now, going forward from this, let's kind of talk about that. Do you honestly, does that even make sense to you that it's a disgruntled employee, that it wasn't, that it could have been, not was, because it's not, that it could have been a disgruntled employee? Because that, to me, I don't understand that. I don't think that would make sense. And if it was an ex-employee, they wouldn't have access to this. They wouldn't have it.
Well, I mean, it does kind of make sense. I think that's why I tended to believe that for a while. Was I mean, it's um, I mean, it kind of fits. It's like, what was the motivation behind this? I mean, I
I
mean,
mean,
leaks happen regardless, but it's just like, what was the motivation here? And I feel like it just that narrative made sense, especially when you consider what we were just talking about, the culture of Naughty Dog, and kind of what, it would make sense for, like, because the reality of it is, for a lot of games, I mean, like I said, it's kind of a gig culture where people, they develop a game, and then it's like, okay, sayonara, sayonara, see you later, goodbye. Thanks for developing this game. Now we don't need you anymore. It's that's kind of the sad reality of this industry. And I can totally understand how some people would be like, hey, I just put all this time and effort in here, and now I'm out on my ass and I'm unemployed, and it's like, this sucks. It's
mhm.
I kind of get that, and I could see the motivation, and it's like, this idea of, like, kind of revenge for that in a way. But also another part of it too is, I mean, like I said, not, and this wasn't necessarily sourced, but there were rumors that I saw that, there were some internal conflicts regarding the creative vision of this game.
Mhm.
And it's always difficult to prove this, because of course people will deny, and sometimes people, even people on the other side, that say, oh yeah, there was a lot of creative differences and problems. Those people aren't necessarily reliable either, because maybe they're, like I said, they're disgruntled, they're not happy. And when you're disgruntled with an employer, you tend to kind of exaggerate things to some degree, or even make
Yeah.
things up to some degree.
Mhm.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, the narrative, it fit, and we didn't have any proof for it, but obviously it fit with what we know about modern Naughty Dog,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, that does. So for me, when I heard about this, I was, and then the leaks happen. Everyone's seeing it, and everyone's upset about it. Not because the leaks are there; it's because of the kind of the narrative, kind of where the narrative is going. Where you know more about this, because again, I've been keeping myself in the dark. Without spoiling anything, why do you think that people who have seen the leaks are up in arms and upset at
Oh
this?
man, I really want to say this in a way that doesn't spoil things.
Okay.
Um, I think
If you can't, I understand, and we will move on. But if at all possible, if you can, go
I
ahead.
think that I think there is a what can I compare it to? I think there is a sense of, maybe, like, like, you have TV shows where, here's kind of a good example, and this doesn't really spoil anything, but I think fans of the game, fans of the first game, will go into this expecting one thing, but I think they're going to receive something very different. It's sort of like, popular example from not too long ago was the ending, the eighth season of the infamous eighth season of Game of Thrones,
Mm-hmm.
where people that season expecting, a meaningful resolution to the story, and they got something completely different. There was a lot of character betrayals. There was a lack of reverence, for the series, as it was. There was a lot of really questionable writing decisions and kind of weird motivation type of things. So I think that's the best comparison I can get into without spoiling anything. Is
Okay.
that it's going to be it's going to be a scenario where it's like, people that love the first game will go into it and say, like, well, why did you do this with these characters, or why did you change things so dramatically? I mean, it's kind of like, another example. We were talking about this off stream, or off, before,
Off
but
camera. Off camera.
off camera. I always say off stream,
It's
but
okay.
off camera, we were talking about. I compared this to, this is the and I'm not the one that coined this, but others have said this is
Mm-hmm.
kind of the equivalent, the video game equivalent of The Last Jedi,
Mm.
where I think you're going to have, what I think is going to happen is, you're going to have a very positive critical response to the game, but the fans, and the general audience will despise it.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
and you might have a couple of people in the audience that are, that they'll enjoy it, but I think the critics will love it. It'll probably be somewhere in, the high 80s, low 90s Metacritic score, and general audiences will hate it though.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and I know that there have been some people who have kind of been talking about Naughty Dog and kind of where they're thinking, kind of like where the company as a whole has kind of been going to, with how they tell stories, and not like kind of like how Uncharted 4. There were a lot of changes that happened in Uncharted 4 because halfway through development, Neil Druckmann took over and Amy Hennig left Naughty Dog. How, we don't know, and I guess that'll be one of the mysteries that we will never know. But like Amy Hennig left Naughty Dog, and there were some changes to Uncharted 4. Like Nate and Elena were supposed to have a son, not a daughter. The big bad of Uncharted 4 was supposed to be Nate's brother, like from the very first trailer we got, like kind of like the teaser trailer for Uncharted 4. But instead, we got another bad guy who hired Nadine, and Nate's brother is partnered with you. Your long lost brother is partnered with you. So like, there's some story parts. Uncharted 4 was fine because it didn't really like. Still good because it still had a fantastic foundation, but from what made this maybe, I don't know. And even then, we've talked to, like, we did our E3 2018 stream of PlayStation, and even you and I both were like, what? So Last of Us Part 2 has kind of been, this has not been helping. So the outcry and everything has happened. So people have dug deeper, and then a tweet from Jason Schreier on May 3rd of 2020, he put out a tweet saying, okay, after talking to two people with direct knowledge of how Last of Us Part 2 leaked, as well as some Naughty Dog employees, I have a good idea what happened. Short version, hackers found a security vulnerability in a patch for an older Naughty Dog game and used it to get access to Naughty Dog servers. I think the footage that leaked is from devs playing an early build. I haven't watched it. Most importantly, rumors of this being an act of protest by a contractor whose pay was robbed is not true. Naughty Dog actually extended pay and healthcare benefits for contractors due to the pandemic. Because Jason Schreier is a very well-respected, well-known game journalist, and I very much mean that. He is a game journalist. I would see that he would have access to those kind of people. Not only did that happen, an article from Kotaku came out, and it also connects and goes with what Jason Schreier has said. It corroborated. There we go. There's the word. I'm smart. It corroborated the thread of Jason Schreier's Twitter feed.
Corroborated.
That's why I have you, Spectre. Thank you, Spectre. There's a reason why I have you around, because I know words. Yeah, it's not gonna die. All right, so this Twitter user named Pixelbutts, yes, that is the name. He has not stated who his real name is. But he puts out a Twitter thread also about this. So, for those of you interested in Last of Us 2 leaks, this is how it happened. Here's your rundown. I have no idea how many tweets this will be, so buckle up. Every Naughty Dog game has a, quote, final patch that is pushed to the game that contains an Amazon AWS key that, when paired with a secret bucket ID, will give full access to the server's contents. There's a different key and bucket ID per game. This is important. This vulnerability was discovered recently, and some hackers took full advantage of it, saving Last of Us 1, Uncharted 3, and other dev stuff. At the time, it was disclosed to me around early February and was very early on. So January 2020, it was discovered. Come March, keys and data was saved somewhere around 1 to 3 terabytes, though I can only say 1 terabyte for sure. They were trying to dump Last of Us 1 in an effort to get that game's key, as Uncharted 3 had the Last of Us 1 material. So surely Last of Us 1 had Last of Us 2. No idea in the end, but come April, things got spicy. In April, all the leaks of story were validated by the footage posted. I cannot speak for the text posts with story, but I can say from the dates from discovery and disclosure match with the timestamps in the footage as well. You can check for yourself. There's footage at the bottom, which I will not go into. If you want to check it out, I'm going to leave, all the sources are in the description. Continuing. Come May 30th, so I guess this would be last year, or maybe something, I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, come May 30th, late at night, the source that disclosed this to me stated, April, I would think April, I'm sorry. Anyway, stated to me that the key had changed, so Naughty Dog for sure knew how to resolve the issue, and no keys work with the bucket IDs now. This is good, but there's more. The individual that spoke to me as is a direct source of this compromise, but is not, as far as I'm aware or can tell, not the one that leaked this material. I say this because even they were weirdly skeptical about the quote Naughty Dog employee leaked things because they were mad. I've been watching this for about 3 months now, and after speaking to a first-hand source of this, my only conclusion is that they and their immediate circle did not leak it, but shared information relating to what I described, and other party proceeds to leak such material. It's good. This is a long one. Here we go. So, this is not the first time this happened in circles like these. Like it's either to boost. I trust their word as a first-hand source of this happening, and I trust they're not dumb enough to leak it. But whether they leaked everything to get such is another story. In regards to the dev kit nonsense, yes, you would need a dev kit to do this, and given that it is relatively easy to get one, yes, it really is, this is not very much of a problem. I can say the Circle for the vulnerability owns such hardware as well. I've seen the photos. What's the point I'm making? The point is that there's plenty of room to argue, and a Naughty Dog employee is involved, but from the evidence which I have submitted to Naughty Dog back in February, stands to point to a Naughty Dog made security vulnerability that was exploited, not an angry employee. While I will not give out names, I will say this. I've been around, I know leaks, I listen, I watch, I keep tabs on things. I've known about this for months and kept quiet publicly, but since it's blocked out now and news coverage confirmed what I've known, I decided to say so publicly. I have no affiliation with this group, I have no materials from the leak, and I'm not going to. I had my ass bitten once, and I don't need a second round of it. But putting the truth out there is important, because even then, you'll still have people saying it was a Naughty Dog employee. Don't believe what sounds like the juiciest story, even if it's what you want to hear. Sometimes it's really boring. Hacker man exploiting a vulnerability created by the company's own games to gain internal access. Hopefully this has been enlightening to you. And as a final note, the person that spoke to me about my previous legal run-in, that's primarily what led to this disclosure to begin with. I do not advocate or suggest stealing and leaking. Preservation is important, but don't do it through stealing. Tagging on to this is the bottom, since people insist that it was a Naughty Dog employee when no, it wasn't. Why do you think it's a Naughty Dog employee that leaked this is still baffling to me. That's the entire kind of rundown. And the article is also sourced too. So pretty much what it is that it has now come to find out at current time as of recording, it wasn't a disgruntled employee because of crunch or whatever it could be, or the lifestyle at Naughty Dog. It's that somehow hackers was able to get into pretty much like bad security, I guess, of Naughty Dog servers to get access to this, and then just leaked it out. To just, hey, here you go. Which I think is absolutely horrible. I absolutely hate that.
Yeah, it's I mean, yeah, it's not the sexy story, but it is it does make sense. I mean, I guess we kind of all had this image in our mind of like a disgruntled Naughty Dog employee, and it kind of fits with the narrative we've been thinking. But it makes more, what you just described kind of makes sense too.
Yeah, and like it's been like again Jason Schreier and then this guy Pixel Butts, who not only put this on his Twitter feed but he also talked to Kotaku. Ugh, can't talk today. He also talked to Kotaku about this. So like again, it matches and Naughty Dog even themselves put out a tweet when this all happened. Let me go ahead and pull up that tweet. Let me quickly get this. When this all started, when the leaks came out, they put a Naughty Dog put up a tweet, um, pretty much saying, "We know the last few days have been incredibly difficult for you. We feel the same. It's disappointing to see the release of and sharing of pre-release footage from development. Do your best to avoid spoilers, and we ask that you do not spoil it for others. Last of Us 2 will be in your hands soon. No matter what you see and hear, the final experience will be worth it." What I do find also with kind of connecting to these leaks, Troy Baker, who voices Joel, before like last month, he kind of said in an interview where people who play this game should be open minded. Either they may like it or hate it. And he in like there is a very he said like not love, and I know I've seen some people talk about how why did he say like not love, and there could be some reason for that, but it sounds like if it sounds stupid like to a gamer, like be open minded about what game you play. I'm like, duh, of course you should. That's you should be open minded to play whatever game there is. You may like it or you may not. Like that's your prerogative. Um, but I do find that a little bit odd that Troy Baker specifically goes out of his way to go keep an open mind. You may either like it or hate it. Like, what is your opinion on that, Spectre?
Yeah, I think I'm always suspicious about that phrase. I don't, and even the phrase itself, I don't like. I mean, I think there's one philosopher that said that don't keep an open mind, keep an active mind. Um,
Mm-hmm.
An open mind. The idea of an open mind is like, oh, I'll consider all ideas, and no, in reality, we can't really do that. It's we have to use common sense to some degree here. But yeah, no, it sounds sort of like like he's trying to sell you something like oh well I mean, just because there's leaks and
No, 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 no. This happened before the leaks. This like interview happened before the leaks.
but
So
there were other kind of leaks and hints beforehand though too.
maybe, but not to this degree. Like, dude, like the story, like before the leaks, because pretty much the story is out there. Mind you, like everyone has been in the dark about this until now, until these leaks. Regardless if this is true or not, because this is not the finished game. These are very like even these leaks are early versions of The Last of Us. So I just want to put that out there,
Okay.
unless I'm wrong. But like this interview was before like the entire story plot was spoiled and the twists and turns of it. Like he very much stated that, and I like when I heard about that, I'm like, oh, okay, well, of course I will.
Like I said, everything. Like I said, obviously, I have the benefit of having seen the cutscenes and knowing the plot details of the game now.
Yeah, like with these it's just with these leaks and everything like this is I don't know. I despise this and I hate this because kind of
I
like
think one other point to bring up real quick too is I think it's definitely having an impact. It will have an impact on sales. Um, I mean, if we're being brutally honest, and this is kind of a notable trend with a lot of Sony first party games, is that for better or for worse, a lot of them have kind of veered away from gameplay in service of story.
mhm.
And I know for you that's a great thing. For me, I'm kind of ambivalent about it because I like a good story, but I also I like something that's balanced. I like my favorite games usually have an engaging narrative and awesome gameplay that serves that narrative,
Mhm.
and harmonizes with it, I should say. I think Sony first party games, it's just as a general trend, have kind of even for games that were kind of classically very gameplay heavy, like God of War, have become more narrative driven. And I think one of the cons to that is, some have argued it's like, okay, you're playing a movie, to some degree. And I think what the downside to that, as compared to like a heavily gameplay focused game,
Mm-hmm.
is that you can kind of YouTube a game and like, okay, let me watch quote unquote Last of Us or Uncharted, and you can kind of sorta to some degree get the same experience as if you were playing it. And I think that will have an impact on sales here to some degree, because it's like, well, I know the cat's out of the bag, I know all the story details and all the twists and turns. It's like, why? I don't really feel like even watching it now. It's like watching a movie where it's completely been spoiled to you. It's like, okay, here's the ending. Like what? Like if I did that to you, like you're about to go, oh hey, I'm about to go see this movie or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, here's the ending. Here's who dies. Here's who betrays who. And I basically give you a rundown of all the plot points. And
Yeah.
I even show you like little clips of it and stuff. I
That
mean, your enthusiasm to see that movie, I think, is just gonna plummet. I mean,
that's like going like back in the '80s when Empire Strikes Back. You just straight up and go down. You just straight up and go, yeah, Darth Vader's Luke's father. Ha ha! It's ruined everything
yeah,
for you.
or Snape kills Dumbledore. Like
Oh
it's
man, that was
it's
yeah, but
it's
yeah,
stuff
it's that
it's
kind of
stuff
thing.
like that where it's like it really craters your enthusiasm to see this. And I think for a game that's more, kind of a criticism here of these games, I think for games that are more gameplay focused, it's like for example, like perfect example, Doom Eternal. Like if you told me at the end like what happens in the end of Doom Eternal, it's like, I don't really care. We're not really playing this so much for the story at all. We're playing this because it's fun. You could have spoiled the end of Doom to me, like, oh yeah, this is what happens at the end, the final level of Doom. I'm like, okay, that's great. I'm still gonna play it,
But
because you know,
I get you. So here's the thing. First, when you were talking about how Sony Worldwide Studios, like their first party games, have kind of been more story driven, even games like God of War or even Uncharted, have been more gameplay focused, but now they've kind of veered into
I mean,
story
would you
driven.
agree with that?
Um, yes, but not in such the negative way that you kind of talked about.
I'm not saying it's necessarily negative. I mean, I enjoy God of War. I enjoy, I
Well,
mean that.
so the thing is that The Last of Us, like The Last of Us, was named Game of the Decade of that time, and I believe that, and I agree, and I definitely agree with that. The reason why, and you can go ahead and say that it could have been Dark Souls or a few other games, which could be true. But specifically for PlayStation, the reason why Last of Us is so kind of Last of Us is the reason why a lot of the single player the single player story driven games that we have gotten now this generation is because of Last of Us. Uncharted used a lot of tropes that Last of Us used. Horizon Zero Dawn did. Marvel Spider-Man, God of War 2018 definitely did. Um, like it picked up a lot of the tropes where like you're playing through the game, but you can interact with NPCs. It's not a cutscene; it's in gameplay. And how the story is what drives it forward, not gameplay. Um, which I love that. That's very much something that I like because I prefer stories over gameplay. There has to be very good gameplay, of course, but like I'm very
And I think that's where we disagree and differ. I think that a great game, a game that's worthy of being called, game of the decade or game or whatever, that deserves high accolades, it should have, a perfect game would have a blend of that. It would have
mm-hmm.
a compelling narrative and solid gameplay that intertwines with that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense for and works with that story.
Yeah.
I think, it's a video game. It's an interactive medium. I mean, you can make a really good movie type of game, but I mean, I don't know, like compare it to like film. Like if you, it's sort of like if you imagine you had a film and everyone said it was like the greatest film ever, But the only good thing about it was it had a really good musical score, and everything else was bad. The acting was bad. The story was
I get
laughable.
it, and like, look, like, and I think that's the greatest part about video games as just itself is that you can have games that are stories, pretty much just playable stories, like any of the Telltale games, which I adore. Or like you said, Doom Eternal. I love Doom Eternal. That game is awesome. That game is amazing. Um, I agree with like you reviewed it, Spectre, and I think that you gave it a 4.5. I've finished it, beat it. I would probably say 4. But like again, that game is built upon its gameplay. Like going in, like whatever. Even for me, I'm like story, great. There is a story, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here to kill demons. But like there's a difference between games like Doom Eternal, which everyone knows going in, it's gameplay focused, but like Last of Us, or Uncharted or whatever is more story driven.
But I think even for games like Doom, you can have a kind of a story done in a clever way, and I think we saw that much better in Doom 2016. I think there was a story that played to Doom in a way that made a lot more sense. Because I feel like Doom sort of regressed in a way, at least on the story front. I mean, the gameplay's never been better. In Doom Eternal, it's fantastic.
I agree.
But the story kind of regressed to the problems of Doom 3, where it takes itself way too seriously, and that's a problem. I think Doom 2016, the genius of that was that it had a quote unquote serious story, but in kind of a weird, kind of fun meta twist. It had, the Doomslayer, which is a stand-in for the player, not care about it, which is kind of like a fun, like kind of meta thing to say, like, because we don't, as the player, we don't really, it's true, we don't really care about the story. We just want to kill demons,
Yeah.
and it's like the game was like kind of winking at you, saying, hey, we know you just want to kill demons. There's the look at all this goofy. It was, in a way, it was kind of like laughing at the idea of Doom 3, because Doom 3 was 100%. Oh, here, it's a serious thing, and hell is real, and blah blah blah. It was a super serious story, and it just doesn't work. And I think Doom 2016 was trying to be like, kind of winking at you, saying like, yeah, we know. So I think even for a game that's more gameplay focused, you can have kind of a clever kind of nod of a story. But I think in general, games they need to be better than just a playable movie. Otherwise it's like, well, why not just make it a movie then?
And I think that like with these leaks, because kind of people kind of see Naughty Dog games as playable movies, which, mind you, they kind of are. Like, especially with Uncharted, those are very like that's what they do. Like, that's very much what Uncharted is, for good and for better, for worse. And mind you, I love it, but like with Last of Us, it's a bit different. But like what has happened is because of these leaks, a lot of people have gone and like asked, like, oh, like, people who have seen them, well, like, whether it's good or bad, and now it's going to dictate, well, I'm going to cancel my pre-order, or I'm not going to buy this at all, or I'm not going to pre-order it at all. Like these leaks have definitely hurt the sales. Like, people are now like going to wait until the reviews come out. And I think it's like, as you said, I think people are going to be looking at more reviews from people like us who like let's see what are the critics gonna like it because of whatever, or are the fans gonna hate it, like you said, or could it be vice versa, or could they, maybe these leaks are completely wrong, which I hope they are. Like, I really want that these leaks are like, maybe generally this is where it's going, but it's not these exact things. For all we know, we don't know until the game comes out itself. And I'm staying in the dark on this. I know you, Spectre, have seen it, and we will, when the game comes out and we review it and everything, we will then probably definitely be talking of bringing this back up at that time, and then you can kind of just go, "Whoo, okay, I can talk about this now."
Yeah.
But
I have a lot to say about the story, definitely, from what I've seen.
But again, like, I would definitely I would definitely want to discuss this with all of us have played it, and if these leaks have been proven correctly or not. But just kind of a few other things to kind of go from this. Not only so because of these leaks, Sony has given a new release date to Last of Us Part 2. Last of Us Part 2 will now come out June 19th. Because before they, in early May or I'm sorry, early April. I apologize. Early April, they pushed back Last of Us Part 2 indefinitely. So they didn't know when it was going to come out. But now with these leaks, they're like, well, we got to get it out now. So here you go. So it's going to come out June 19th. And so because of that, they also pushed back Ghost of Tsushima to July 17th.
I don't know if we can say definitively because
No,
of
no, no,
that.
no, 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 no. Like, I'm sorry, I
We can
worded that. No,
speculate.
I worded that wrong. No, 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 no. I worded that wrong. I apologize. No. For again, it was for a late June launch date for Ghost of Tsushima. It probably may have been delayed into next month before polishing or whatever. But I do think a part of the reason, an aspect of why Ghost of Tsushima got pushed back to July is so that way Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima don't don't overlap each other. So even if it is the rage and hate, if that is true, of Last of Us Part 2, that doesn't kind of flatten out what could be an amazing game of the year game, which could be Ghost of Tsushima, or the reverse or whatever. Like that way, Last of Us has its own month, and Ghost of Tsushima has its own month, their own time to shine, for better or for worse. Which I think that's fine.
Yeah, and it's yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm looking forward to Ghost of Tsushima. I think it's I mean, everything I've seen of it looks pretty good. So at least it's not like they're pushing it back much. It's just a couple of weeks from when
Yeah.
it was originally supposed to launch. So it's nice to actually. One nice thing about this, at least for for me, is it's nice to for once have you don't usually see this where you have a game releasing in the middle of summer that's actually worth playing. Usually, historically, almost nothing releases in the summer, especially in July. And so it's nice to have something kind of because there's usually there's such a drought usually between end of May through you don't really see much until September.
Yep. A few more things is that kind of going on with this is that also Last of Us Part 2 will be the download will be 100 gigs minimum, so it's going to be another two disc game, so it's going to be freaking big. And it has been announced today, as of May 4th, 2020, the game has gone gold. Neil Druckmann put up a little video pretty much thanking his team for doing this. He still very much says to everyone, please to still look at it for yourself. He says it's the most ambitious game he ever made, and he has stated that it has gone gold, meaning that the game is finished on their end. Now it just has to go to the printing press to make the discs, get it ready on the PlayStation Store, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, so we don't have to wait too long to. Like I said, I will not be playing it, but I know you'll be playing it on launch, and I look forward to kind of getting your opinion of it, because I mean you're definitely a fan of it, and I'll be very curious to see your reaction to it.
Honestly, I am too. I am not lying. I am also looking forward to this, but it's not in excitement. It's of caution. I'm still looking forward to this. I'm not mad or upset. I'm mad. I'm mad and upset that these leaks happened. Just in general, leaks are bad. I've never liked leaks because it just ruins the excitement, the surprise, it just all of this, regardless whether it's around E3 time or about a game or whatever. There's a reason why in video games specifically, everything is hush hush until the time has come, because they want that explosion, that excitement, when at E3 2016 when Kratos comes out from the shadows, no one knew about it, and that happened. The entire arena and people from around the world watching the stream exploded, including myself. it's that kind of surprise which is meaningful. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to this game, but I just wish this never happened. That I just wish these leaks didn't happen. And I really hope that from the rumors I've been hearing and what you may be hinting at, without spoilers, I really hope that it's wrong and it's just an early version and that's not what it actually is. I want to be proven wrong, but if the rumors that I've heard as much as I've tried to stay in the dark, I don't know. I don't know.
And I don't want the game to be horrible. Don't get me wrong. You know, it's I'm not rooting for it to fail necessarily. I mean, I'm not whatever differences I have with the people that are designing it and kind of the agenda I see in it. Whatever disagreements I have there, I'm not rooting for what is it's a game that a series that people are passionate about. I'm not rooting for it to fail. But at the same time, it's yeah, I don't know. I think. I think I see how the chips are landing here, and we'll see what happens.
I guess so. But yeah, that is, I believe that's all the information I have about this story. And if there's more to this story, we'll continue to cover it probably until the game comes out. We'll probably be discussing this even after. Hopefully in good terms and not bad. But I guess we will see. But if there's any more developments, any major developments, we'll continue covering. We'll continue to stay on top of this. Any last thoughts? I think we got. I think I got all my stuff. Anything else from you, Spectre?
Yeah, no, I said everything I want to say about it. I mean, we don't have to wait too long. I mean, we're already in May here, and it's we'll see what happens here soon.
Yeah. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Please let us know what your opinions are of this. Now, please do not leave spoilers in the comments. Do not spoil it. Please do not leave the spoilers for people who want to go ahead and enjoy it or not enjoy it, but for the final product that it is, including myself. So please, if you want to talk about this, you're more than welcome to. Just please, no spoilers from the leaks. But please let us know what you guys think about these leaks. The Last of Us Part 2. Are you excited for it? Are you not excited for this? Are you going to buy the game or not? Or any of the news topics we brought up in this episode. But guys, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't, please subscribe to the channel. YouTube.com/Brotherhood of Geeks. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that. And if you haven't already, press the bell icon. That way, whenever we put up a video, you know we put up a video. You can also follow us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/TheBrotherhood of Geeks. You can also follow us on Twitter at Dualshock'd BOG. That's the name of our PlayStation podcast, Dualshock'd BOG. And then you can also follow us on Twitch when we stream at twitch.tv/Brotherhood of Geeks. Is there anything else that you have to say, Spectre?
No, that's about it. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're looking forward to Ghost of Tsushima. I am too. So
I like to say I'm cautiously optimistic about that because I've been burned before this generation. I know, like I said, I know you love Order 1886, but I think I, like most people, felt I was misled with that. So I'm hoping that's not the case this time. I'm hoping I did enjoy Sucker Punch's last game with Infamous. I did enjoy, on PlayStation, I did enjoy that quite a bit.
I trust Sucker Punch. Like Ready at Dawn was one where, because they did the Uncharted Vita game, and it's fine. It's not bad. I would like to see Ready at Dawn given another shot, but I trust in Sucker Punch. That's why I'm excited. Is that Sucker Punch is behind this game, along with where it takes place, everything. So. But I guess we'll see.
And I like that it's, we're only about 2 months away from release, and so far, at least, there hasn't been any kind of red flags. There hasn't been some kind of,
Let's pray that let's pray that game doesn't get leaked too. So,
right.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, if that's it, I'm Brett J. Rasmussen.
I'm Spectre.
And as always, live to play together. We'll see you guys next time.